Hi everyone, so it's Michelle here and I'm a watercolour and mixed media artist. Welcome to my channel. This is part 2, so I will put a link to part 1 of my gift ideas for artists, and I guess the majority of these are the more expensive, so they're probably going to be nearer the £50 and above mark in order to buy them, or the majority anyway. So yeah, I've got a display here on my desk, but I am going to just go through everything one by one. So let's pick a starting place, and I think we will start with, if I move all of these out of the way, let's start with the Frazer Price palette box. It comes in this gorgeous dark navy blue. It's kind of got a bobbly feel to it, box, and then the lovely gold writing on the top. And you can see I've put mixture. That says I know that there's a mixture of paints in here. It's not just one particular brand. But yeah, as you open it up, you will see the most wonderful golden palette. And it does come with some instructions in here. So, you know, you've got your instructions in the box. But this opens up at the side with this little hook, and there we go. Let's just open that up like so. If you turn your little hook, then it will lay completely flat. This will be an old piece of painting and my colours that are in there. But you can see this is what it looks like. So on this side, you've got a palette. You can see mine is obviously used, and another palette here to do mixing on. And these lift out and you can slide in. If I move them across, you can see they just, you slide in your half pans. You could probably put full pans in there, but I never have. Mine is obviously a bit grubby because obviously I've used it. On the other side, you've got another mixing area. You've got this little section to put some water in, and a container with water in. And if you look, you can also use those as mixing spaces as well on the top of the water bottle if you wanted to. So there's lots of space to do mixing. I would say that it's only a good out and about palette if you've got somewhere that you can pop it down on. It's not really one that's going to be easy to hold in your hand and use at the same time. So you need to be able to find yourself a picnic bench or just a bench so that you can pop this one down. But obviously you can use it in the studio, and yeah, it's what I kind of call the height of luxury, I suppose. And then that just closes back up. That does back up, and then that goes back in its box. It is like a gold nugget. I think it's made from brass. But anyways, it's not cheap. It's near the £100, either just below or just over mark. So yeah, if you're wanting to get someone a really special gift to put their most precious colours in, then I think that would make a beautiful gift. So that's my item number 1. Let's move on to my next one, which is the Painter's Colour Diary. It's 9 inches by 12 inches. I already have a good 6 of these. What I tend to do is write on the front what I'm putting in there. This is the one I'm using at the moment. So I've swatched out my Ranger Distress watercolour pencils. I've swatched out my Holbein tubes and some mixes. I've got my Faber-Castell Polychromos in here. That goes over a couple of pages. I've got my Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle. This is my Red Clover Meadow page. These are my blocks. And you will see that between each of the watercolour paper sheets, you have a sort of a glassine to keep them nice. And you've also got your black line to help you see whether they are opaque or transparent, semi-transparent, etc. So you get 10 sheets in here. They are removable, so if you wanted to, you can just because they're not completely stuck in, there we go. If I show you like that, you can take them out and about with you if you wanted to. I never have, but for me, they're just so that I've got a record of all of my materials. And yeah, here we go. So once I've finished them, I take this piece off. I only keep that piece on the one that I'm working in, and you can see where I've labelled up several of these where I've used them before. So the Painter's Colour Diary, I will put a link to that. They come in packs of 2. But I think that they're a lovely way to keep track of what you've already got, so that you don't end up buying 2 of something because you've forgotten that you've already got it. So the Painter's Colour Diary, which comes in a pack of 2, 9 by 12 inches. They do a smaller version, and I did try using that, but for me it's just too small. So that would be my recommendation. Moving along, I only did this video yesterday, and this is the Tom's Studio pad. So I'll put a link to this in the to the previous video as well, if you want to have a bit more of a look on what this entails. But I think that the paper is rather lovely, and I did actually buy an extra cover and brass studs, and I've managed to put some watercolor paper in it rather than the Tom's Studio pad. So, but I think it just has the most luxurious feel to it. And yeah, if you're an artist, I think that that would be something that you would like to receive. So that's the Tom's Studio pad. Whilst we're on Tom's Studio, I have 2 of these. You don't need 2. In fact, you can. This one has only got 1 end to it, if you like, and I like it because then you can screw the lid on the end and you're not going to lose it. So this has got the equivalent of I think it's a 0.5 fine liner in it, and basically with these you just keep filling them up with the ink that you want. So they just keep going on forever. That one, I think I've said in a previous video, was a present. It's like the blush pink, I think it was called. And I bought a second one because I wanted to have, you can get lots of different nibs. I wanted more of a brush nib, which I've got on that one. But you can get them where you have nibs at either end. So yeah, I will leave a link to Tom's studio, but these are, they just feel luxurious in your hand, and you're not going to need to buy fine liners or you know, a brush pen again, because you can just keep using these over and over again and refilling them with your own ink. So saving the planet a little bit. I think not cheap, but these make a gorgeous present. I know I was thrilled to bits to get mine in this lovely sort of blush pink colour, and then I chose this green. So yeah, Tom's Studios Lumos pens. I think if you're an artist, yeah, it's just, instead of a fine liner, this is going to last forever, and you're saving the planet, and it feels rather lovely. So there we go, Tom's Studios Lumos pens. Moving on, most of you will have seen me use my Escoda Perla watercolor brushes. They're round brushes. They come in a set of 3. These are the Joseph Zubik ones. This is a 12. The 10 is a very handy travel brush, which fits like so with the hole in the bottom. In the studio, I just use it like this. So a 12, a 10, and an 8. And because these brushes go to the most glorious point, let's just wet one for you. You can see that you get a really lovely point with these. So I very rarely need to use anything that's too small, because of the fact that you get such a glorious point with all of them. So they're really, really versatile. I've had them a long while. They are still in really good order. I think they are well worth the money. So yes, these are definitely over £50 for the set of 3. So but I would recommend them as brushes that are going to last, and that are you know, going to work well for an artist. So there we go, that's the Escoda Perla watercolor brushes that are in this set of 3. However, I do have this Escoda travel set, and I'm not sure whether that's real leather or not. Anyway, this travel set is the Escoda Versatile travel set, and I do have other travel sets, but look at the point on that. So yes, yet again, high quality, I would say, with their kind of little wooden handles. Obviously they've got the holes in the bottom. So it comes with a 12. Then we've got an 8. Yet again, gorgeous point on that. And I think, is this a, this is the 4. So if you're out and about, then I think those are a very lovely set of travel brushes that, yet again, seem to be going on forever and ever. They are more expensive than the set that I put in part 1 of this video. Yeah. To me, this is my ultimate in the travel brush range, even though I have got others. So the Escoda Versatile travel brush set, beautiful present for someone. Moving on, I've only pulled a few of these out, but you can I think there's only 24 in the range of these Derwent drawing pencils, and they really are rather beautiful. Let me see if I can find a piece of paper. They are the smoothest of all of the colour pencils that I have, and I've got Polychromos, I've got Caran d'Ache Luminance, I've got Holbein, yeah, I've got lots of different coloured pencils, but this particular range, actually, I wonder if I've swatched it out. Bear with. Okay, so I have swatched all of these out. There is 24 colours. I was absolutely right. But you will see from these colours that they are all kind of fairly muted. I had to go over the page to do a few. But they're kind of very much landscapey type pencils, I think. I absolutely love the fact that they've got this kind of muted effect to them, which you can tell from where I've just swatched those ones out there. So yes, these are probably one of the more expensive pencils. I think they're more expensive than Luminance even, but I would have to say that as the set of 24 of these Derwent drawing pencils, if you know that your artist friend or you yourself love your coloured pencils, then I would say that this is a set that is well worth getting. And that probably takes me on to some storage, which I will put up next. And that storage is really good for all of your pens and your pencils. So yes, that's what I'm going to show you next. So here we are. Here are my Meaden set of 6 drawers to put your pencils in. And if I go in a bit closer, then obviously I've got lots of different pens in that one, but there we go. I've got my Derwent drawing pencils, I've got some water brushes, and then in the next one down I've got lots of Inktense pencils, and then I've got some Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle watercolour pencils, and then in here I've got some Eco Lines, just some other pencils. The one underneath isn't the Meaden one, it's something else. So but you can see you can even put a few bits and bobs on the top there. So there we go. That's what the Meaden 6 drawers look like. I daren't go over to my other one because it's looking rather messy over. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we can. This is my other one, and I've got all of my green. They're a real mixture. These are not water soluble, so these are just coloured pencils, but I keep mine in colours rather than makes. Greens, then we've got yellows, then we've got reds, pinks, purples, blues, browns, and finally at the bottom greys. So you can see I've got 2 sets of 6, and I've actually got 2 sets of 3 that came from somewhere else that I can't quite remember where it came from. But there we go. That's just so that you get to see you know, what the drawers look like. I think they're hugely helpful. So and you know, all of these things are, as I said, I'll be putting links to below. And then moving on, let's move on to some paints. So this is the set of 12 core paints, and I think the tin is just lovely. I'm hoping you can see that there's these indents in it for you to mix your colours in, and then you also have these mixing sections in the middle here. I do love core paints. These are the colours that come in the 12 pan set. They're half pans, and I think that's a lovely selection of colours. They work really well. You can see I've used it a lot. And you even get this kind of glassine bit just to protect your paints. Core, rather like Michael Harding and Daniel Smith, are more expensive. They are professional grade watercolors, and this feels substantial. It even gives you all the information on the back about each color, its light fastness, and the pigment information as well. So I would have to say that that is over £50, but it is a lovely present if you are wanting to introduce core professional watercolor paints into either your you know, stash of goodies, or whether you're going to give it to someone else because it's not something that they've tried. So yes, core, very very pigmented professional watercolors, and I think this little watercolor set is a good way to introduce yourself without buying lots of tubes, and also it can be used as a little travel palette. So it's yeah, beautiful little set. There we go. That's the core set of 12. Moving along then, let's stick with paints, and I got this from Rosemary and Company because I'm in the UK, and this is the Art Toolkit Folio palette. And let me just see which way we open this. There we go. I've swatched out the colours that I've got in mine, but I've also, because some of them do seem to be a bit sticky, as you can see, it seems to be the cobalt blue that's gone a bit mad. So I've put this piece of plastic in between, just so that I don't, you know, make a whole mess of this palette. I think I would have to put a different blue in there in future, but for now this works. But you can see you get all these different sized magnetic kind of pans, paint pans to put in there, and then you get these mixing sections as well, although I guess if you just wanted to use the lid for mixing, then you know, you could decide that you want to, very magnetic, you could decide that you want to put paint in that instead and have more paint in there. But it's the versatility of these and the fact that you can move things about. You can put watercolor, you can put gouache in there. It's also, let me just put that back in its place where it's not going to cause a problem. There we go. It's also extremely thin. So just make sure that's in. There we go. As you can see, it's ultra thin. So it's really handy as a travel palette. So that's the folio palette. It's the larger one, and I think probably the most versatile because it's got a decent amount of space for the paints to go in. So yeah, the Art Toolkit folio palette would be my next choice if you are wanting to treat someone to something a little bit special. And then I have this, which is the Barry Herneman's Cloverleaf paint box. I've actually got several of these, and I will show you how it opens up. That's my colours that I have in this particular one. So you've got these little handle bits at the side here, and it opens out. You've got all of this mixing area. You can see these are things that I'm using and have used. So I'm not sharing anything that I haven't used and loved myself. And then you also get another mixing space here. And this bit lifts out. So, and you can actually buy more of these inserts. So if you decide, you know what, I'm fed up of using that set of colours, you can buy a new insert and fill it up with different colours. And then at some point when you go, oh, actually, I'd like to go back to that one, you can. So I quite like the fact that you can buy the inserts, extra inserts, and that means that you know, it's even more versatile. But I love the fact that the wells are really nice and deep in this one. You get a lot of paint in there. You've got a lot of mixing space. It folds up. Let's pop my thing back in. It folds up really nicely and then shuts. And as you can see, I've got quite a big hand, but it's not too big a size. Mine's got Michael Harding in, which I've put on the back there so as I know what I've got in there. But as I said, I've got about 3 of these because I just think that they give me the space and enough paint to do something bigger than some of the other travel palettes that you can buy. So that's the Barry Herneman's Cloverleaf paint box. I'll put a link to that. Right, coming up next then, I would have to say, she says, trying to bring this in, I may have to zoom out a bit. Hold on. Let's just... There we go. I think we can, if I move that slightly, there. Okay, there we have. There we go. There we have my peg and awl, and this is the tote bag. Maybe I'll just take that off for a minute. Let's just take that one off for a minute. This, by the way, if any of you are interested, is one of those portable seats. So if the bench is wet, I can actually sit down and not get a wet backside. So yes, I just keep that. There's a big carabiner clip that I have attached here on the bag. In fact, I've got another carabiner attached to that, just in case, because they're always handy. So this is the Peg and All tote bag, which has got, I've done a review on this already, but it has slots for pens, and I've got one of their paint palettes in there, more pens. It's got a lot of space inside it. So I'll get that out for a minute. Yeah, water bottle in there. That's instead of having to take a rag, I can just clean my brushes on there. And then you've also got this big section at the front. At the moment, I've got part of my Wow Go sketching accessory in there, so that I can clip my sketchbook to it. Yeah, I can get a lot in there, and I can pack my lunch and throw a flask in there as well. That's just another. I just always have a plastic bag. I know, it's just so that yeah, if I need to, I've got plenty of space to put my things and sit down. So I would have to say mine, I got engraved with my name Michelle on the back. I would have to say that this is the best bag that I've ever had to go out for the day if I know that I'm going to go sketching. I've done a video on this tote bag before. I'll try and remember to put the link to that below. So that's that one. And of course, inside that, I'm just going to scan back out again now. There we go. Just pop that like that. I'm going to bring up all of my other. Where are we? So I've got rather a lot. So I'm going to say anything that is Peg and All is beautifully made with this waxed waterproof material, and I think it's well worth the money. Hence, I have all of these. So I will go through them all with you one by one. Most of you know. Ooh, go back in. Most of you know about the Sendax. Well, I've got the large one here, and I've also got the smaller one. So if you want a absolute comparison, let's spread them out, and hopefully you can just about see that. So yeah, there we go. So this is the larger Sendak, and you have all of this space to put pencils and things in. You've got this zippered compartment, which I actually took those out and used them for something else. Yeah, I know where I put it. Anyway, you know, you can put a eraser, a pencil sharpener, any other bits and pieces that you want to put in that bit. And then obviously you've got space to put a sketchbook. If it's just a tall, slim one, it will go in nicely. Or where's my bag gone? if it's a square one, you know, like these 5 by 5 inches, those will go in this larger, she says. It's because I'm trying to video and do everything at once, aren't I? There we go. It does go in a 5 by 5 sketchbook. That will go in nicely. So you've got these two big pockets at the back here. If I'm going away on holiday, I will fill this one up with all sorts of spares, and then I will have everything in my tote bag on top of that. Let's just do this one up, and then I will show you the smaller Sendak, which I think is rather good. I've put that inside my tote bag before, so in comparison we still have plenty of slots for pencils. We've got the 2 compartments here. You've still got the zippered compartment. You see I've got some gold in here. I've got an eraser, got a little pot with some bleed proof white in, and oh look, I've got a travel brush in here as well. Perfect. So there we go. That's obviously a travel brush out of one of my other sets that I've just popped in there. So you've got all of that exactly the same, but just not quite as many. And you still do have 2 pockets at the back here, but yeah, it's going to be quite difficult to put a notepad in there unless it is a very tall, slim one. Which you can get them. So that's the, I tend to put you know, like a pencil tin or something like this with some broken down Neocolor 2s, or you know, some other materials, yeah, and other pens in there. But both are really good. I would have to say this one is more pack in the suitcase and use in the place that I'm staying, whether it's a hotel or whether it's a lodge or wherever I'm staying. I would use this indoors whilst I'm away, and this is the one that I would take out and about with me. So that's the 2 Sendaks. I guess the next one is this one, which is really rather large. Let me check what size this is. So this one is the Maker pouch, and it's 12 by 7.5, and then 1.5 deep, you know, sort of at the bottom here. I'm just using this in the studio at the moment to store all of these really chunky Liquitex acrylic markers, because I haven't got anywhere else to keep those at the moment. But you could use that to put your sketchbook and your other materials that you want. It's big enough to get a small paint palette in, some pencils, some pens, some Neocolors. Yeah, if you just want a pouch rather than a Sendak, then this Maker's pouch is rather good. On lots of these I've stuck little badges. So that's the Maker's pouch. Then this one is the Keeper. The Keeper, yeah, I think this is called the Keeper. So this is slightly smaller. It's 5.5 and 8.5. So 5.5, 8.5. And this is the one that I've been using when I don't want to take my big tote. I just want to take a small amount with me. So I've got one of these little little sketchbooks in there, and a few pencils and watercolor watercolor brushes. And where is it? There we go. I've been using one of these little ones that goes like that. So that one is minimalistic, if you really want to be minimalistic, because it's one of those where you, just in case I get a chance to do some painting and sketching, then this one is rather lovely. So that's the keeper. Then we've got the saver. This is the saver, and this is where the other bits that were I said I know where I've put those a moment ago out of my big Sendak. So in here I've got a couple of travel brushes. In fact, I'll put a link to those, because these are, most travel brushes are round brushes. These are flats, and they're Da Vinci Casaneo, and that's a size 10. These screw in. They're both the same kind of make, and this is a size 5, so it's half the size, but that's just a round. So yeah, I've got those in there, and then I've got some gold, I've got some bleed proof white, I've got a refill for my carbon ink pen, I've got a little fountain pen here that's got some water proof ink in. I have got a pencil sharpener and a little wax crayon for wax resist. So but that came out of my large Sendak, basically. So there we go. I've got quite a lot in this very small pouch. But those are the kind of little extras. I suppose you could use that as a purse as well. So we've got that one, and then this one is called the Scribbler. So it's a tall one. It's 8 by 5, and I've literally got a whole host of coloured pencils in there. So if I just want to take coloured pencils, I've got my, what is this, Sailor? Yeah, this is the Fude pen, and water brush, and some coloured pencils. So minimal if I want to go out, even more minimal if I want to go out with just some coloured pencils and things. So there's many different sizes of things, together with that glorious tote bag. I would have to say that as an artist, I just love the feel of all of the Peg and All things. I have also got, I think I've shown you, I've got this palette here, which is quite a large palette. So that's another thing that might be, you know, that touch of luxury for someone. So yeah, I've got some colours in there, 6 colours. There's your mixing palette. That's my colours, and I've got one of those little sponges in there. So yeah, I think the Peg and All materials, gosh, butterfingers I am today. Right, let's just get you back in. There we go. Got you. So yeah, I just keep it in this little zippered bag just in case the paints go anywhere. But I've got that one, and I've got a smaller one, which is, she says, anyway, I've got a smaller one, but you can have a little look. I would recommend their little palettes as well. So I hope that that's given you some ideas that are probably a little bit more on the luxury, bit more expensive side of things to give to, you know, the artist that you know as a present, or perhaps you're thinking of getting yourself something quite special, just because you're worth it, as they say. So there we go. Part 2 of my gifts for artists. Hope there was something there that you think might be useful for yourself or someone else. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay calm. And I will try and put links to as many videos that I've done where I've gone through them in a bit more detail, and links to where you can buy all of these things as well. So until next time, take care, everyone.